What I'd actually like to do is read a little bit of scripture from 2 Corinthians 2:14 or 14, 15, and 18. It says, "So we do not lose heart." That would be easy to do in my situation. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. As we look not to things that are seen, but things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. And that is, I'm dealing with a light momentary affliction in the eternal perspective. And that has kind of been my go-to, my reminder of what I should focus on.
Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Lifeonaire Show, where we help people make more, work less, and create a life and business they absolutely love. I am joined by my co-host, Polish Peter.
Well, thank you, man. And I just want to add that the exciting part is because I am here, and that's why the show is so exciting.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about personal delusions of grandeur. No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk about that in another episode.
And big words like grandeur, okay?
Go look it up. Go look it up.
Yeah.
So, listen, hey man, so today we're going to talk with Charley Engen. He's a coach for Lifeonaire, but that's really not what we're focusing on here. Here's a guy who's been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And I mean, this isn't like some little thing, right? And right. It's a big deal. And, you know, in the interview, I really wanted to kind of get into like, how is he able to function? What are some of the things that he focuses on that allows him to kind of still be, I mean, how do you not just curl up in a ball, right? Mm-hmm. You can't at some point, you gotta figure out a way to deal with this. And I think he talks about some really important things here, cause it's a big deal.
Yeah. This particular episode, is very powerful because of the subject matter. And the thing is, I love Charley. Charley I've known him for several years. Funny guy sometimes.
Well, and he's also the guy that coined your name as Captain PP.
Do we have to mention that?
Silence.
Do we have to mention that on this?
It's already out there.
Podcast?
It's already out there, man.
No, I'm gonna rewind. Go beep. So just Captain, okay? Just call me Captain. All right. No, but listen. Here's the thing. Well, I want you guys to listen to this particular episode from this particular stance. Because whether or not you're diagnosed with cancer or not, a lot of us do have cancers in our lives, just from different kind of, circumstances, right? Some people are dealing with divorces. Some people are dealing with death. Some people are dealing with something heartbreaking in their life or whatever it might be, right? This is an extreme, obviously, cancer is, stage 4 colon cancer or something crazy. And I love how Charley takes it on, how he took it on, and how he's kicking its butt. And it's just amazing to see this guy and learn from him and be around him because he gives so much. I mean, it's just listen to the episode.
Yeah, let's jump in right now, man. I'm excited for this. Here we go. Charley, welcome to the Lifeonaire Show. Thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
I'll tell you, this is, I'm really looking forward to this interview because you have an incredible story. And for those of you, we were joking around on this prior to us broadcasting, and Charley, he's just such a light guy, and especially considering.
Light? I don't know if he's light.
Well, the guy's
like 6'9",
right?
I think,
okay,
right?
Well, like in spirit, and in humor, and in personality, and yet, tell the audience you've had some real challenges here, and what I wanted to kind of dive into is like how do you do it? How do you remain optimistic? How do you what's your mindset? How do because now what I'm referring to is well, actually, I'll let you say it, Charley. Like tell the audience what you're facing right now, and the history of how this has all come about.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be 50 years old in September. At 47, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Took me about 6-9 months to man up and go see what's going on. And, I hate to plant a visual of a colonoscopy, but I'm coming out from after the procedure and I'm laughing because that's some really good stuff. And my wife's streaming tears down her eyes. And, it was one of those moments that's like, okay. I don't think these are tears of joy.
So did she know right then that were you diagnosed after that? Like right immediately she knew?
They sent me directly to an oncologist that the tumor was impeding the scope.
Wow.
So yeah, he knew,
Wow.
you know, he knew right then. He's like, this is real. And we ended up getting multiple opinions, and the summation is I have so much cancer that it's not operable. And so I think that's a blessing. It's such that I've read stories of people that have endured the liver resection and the colon removal, and it's miserable. And when you're getting hit with chemo and radiation and stuff, rebounding from that type of surgery is miserable. And what I'd actually like to do is read a little bit of scripture from 2 Corinthians 2:14 or 14, 15, and 18. It says, "So we do not lose heart." That would be easy to do in my situation. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. As we look not to things that are seen, but things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. And that is, I'm dealing with a light momentary affliction in the eternal perspective. And that has kind of been my go-to, my reminder of what I should focus on. And the question is, oh, go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, man, now I got to just pause here because you just say this so matter of factly, like, hey, this is the way it is. You have full confidence in what you just read. Did you struggle to get there? Was this a journey, or like were you like, hey, it is what it is? Like, what was that? Was it a roller coaster, or was it a flat? Like, have you been this way since the diagnosis, and what was that like?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I would say I'm probably 90% proficient in a positive mindset. I would be lying to anybody that if I said, you know, man, I got this. God's completely in control. My flesh isn't creeping up on me. The worry, the concern, the why me. You know, in 2 years, I've never asked why me. You know, but the thing that challenges me is having my grandchild. I got my first grandbaby coming in September, and as exciting as that is, you know, my reset on my mindset has to be, you know, I got to enjoy her every day I can. I don't want to think about missing the walk-in or missing the growing up or whatever, you know. And, you know, a little backstory, for about 10 years, I went through shoulder problems, and it was in the development stage, you know, the teens of my older kids. I couldn't do anything. I've got 3 new shoulders. I had 4 surgeries in 10 years. And in my business, my boys had to step up. You know, I would have been the dad that's like, now watch me do this. Here's how it's done, son. Now watch me. I'm faster. I'm better. You know, it was my pride and my arrogance, but with the humility forced upon me physically, you know, those were tough years. But what it did was prepare me for such a time as this, because the day, you know, when we had talked to the family, my 21-year-old son at the time said, "Dad, you're fired. I got this." My older 4 kids work for me full time. And as I look back, if I would have had my physicalness, if I would have been viable, they wouldn't have had the skills to say that. And over the last 2 years, they have grown the business. They haven't maintained it. And I've been able to focus completely on getting rid of this cancer. And so as I looked at, that was a good retrospect for me to trust more in the Lord's plan, because it was perfect. I mean, those were hard years. But now that I look back, go ahead, Peter.
Well, I'm just wanting to finish it, but You said that, they prepared you for this, right? And I'm hearing that they've prepared your family for it, like your boys to step up and all that kind of stuff. Did that in a way prepare you for the cancer? Like you yourself?
That absolutely.
How so?
Absolutely. So I could, again, I was a physical guy. I ran an excavating company. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I still love it. If I can get in a machine, I am in my happy place. And going through the trials and not having the why me, having the positive mindset. I had people telling me to, thank God for the pain and just to embrace the pain. And, and so what I'm able to do, what I'm blessed with is over the last 2 years, I haven't had the stress of a job. I haven't had the stress of needing to do really anything. I really just coach my own business, and I love it. And so, yeah, I think it prepared me to be ready to accept it. I mean, there's a little humility that comes with a guy that can no longer function in the way that he used to, and I can't function in the way that I used to. In March, I could do about 100-yard walk, and I was totally out of breath. And May and June, I've walked over 85 miles. I've walked at least a mile a day. And in March, I would have said, there's no way I can do this, but realizing that maintaining the physical body, being ready for what's to come. And the biggest thing is being present in the day, in the moment. I can't even boil it down to a day. I've got to make sure that my mind doesn't drift hourly, minutely. It's really tough. All my kids live around me. And so when they're at the house, I'm taking it in, I'm just enjoying all the kids, and my mind can immediately go to, man, I feel like I put in all this hard work, and now I'm going to miss the fruits of my labor. Well, I'm not missing the fruits of my labor. They're fruiting. They're doing exactly what God had planned them to do. And I've got to kind of reset, take the old typewriter and push it back and say, you know what, I got to enjoy the moment. I don't have to worry about the future.
Well, man, I was going to say, like, as I didn't really think of this perspective prior to you saying that, is like a lot. So when I typically think of someone having a diagnosis like this, my first thought would be that they would probably be concerned about the future. Like, they would be consumed with what's going to happen. How is this going to play out? Is this going to be successful? What kind of problems am I going to have? So I see that as a distraction. And also what you mentioned was like, interestingly, your past in letting go of your physical capabilities is also part of this mindset. It's not just the future concerns, and it's not just the present. And by the way, I love that you're in the present, because that's the most important place to be. But some people also struggle with letting go of their previous capabilities that no longer are possible in the current situation. And so how did you? So I just picture this kind of seesaw, where on one side is the past, one side is the future, and in the middle is the present. How do you keep yourself there? How do you prevent yourself from mourning the loss of physical abilities, and also having anxiety about the future? How do you really stay present? Is it that scripture? Is it something else? Is it the family around you? Is it just trying to take it in? How does somebody deal with that?
Well, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. And so I've got mental accountability partners. I've got guys that I'll text, hey man, I'm going in a dark place. My wife is my best barometer, and she will take the liberty if I haven't reached out, because it is hard. I mean, the anxiety of the future, as you put it, is probably the most difficult thing for me. Because I can see the next generation. I've got 2.5 married. I've got my first grandbaby, and it's like, man, I finally am where I've been wanting to be for the last 30 years. Why? But what I replace that with is, man, I'm glad I was obedient and diligent and purposeful with raising my kids, because even if I don't see my 12-year graduate, my older boys are going to take care of finishing that kid up. I know that my boys have taken a responsibility even over the last couple of years of mentoring and doing what needs to be done to make sure that the younger men get what they got. And so that's I try to park it with the blessing rather than being concerned about what I may miss or not miss in the future.
That's
so
huge.
I'm hearing you keep redirecting to the blessing, right? And mentally you keep redirecting to that. Yeah. And that's a really important, because here, the other thing that I heard from you is, looking in, like, I've worked all these years and all that kind of stuff that has happened. And now will I be able to actually enjoy the fruits of the labor, right? And a lot of people were focused, will I be able to? And what I'm hearing from you, you actually staying in the present. So I am actually enjoying the fruits of the labor, right? Yes. So not worrying about what might happen in the future, but you're looking at like staying there and being there, being present and all that kind of stuff. So that is, I think, really freaking powerful. My question for you is, you talked about having people in your life, relying and accountability and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of times it's not the easiest thing to reach out to people, right? How you get through that to be able to step over and just, I got to do something. I got to reach out. And
how do I self-manage?
Yeah.
The mindset?
Yeah.
It is very evident when you start to be aware of your thoughts, where you're going. And it's one of those things where if I let it go more than a day, now I'm slipping down the slope quickly. And apparently my demeanor changes. My wife says she can see it on my face. Mm-hmm. So I try to grab it before she picks up on it and reach out to somebody. I can't imagine being in her shoes. There are so many unknowns. There are so many things that I have done that she just didn't really care about, and talking more about business. And she has jumped in. She's listening to real estate podcasts. She's going to all the meetings with me now. We spend every day together. And, of my 81 days of walking a mile or more, she's only missed one day with me. We walked our walk, done it together. And it's a great opportunity to kind of decompress, to have good conversation. But my goal is to take the weight off of her concern about the future. And sometimes that gets a little heavy, and she'll realize it. And she's like, I got this, has God not provide for us for, it'll be 30 years on August 2nd, August 4th. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, we have, we don't have the concern. We can't allow the concern to come in and derail our presence. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, if, like I said at the beginning, I'm 47, I'm going to be 50. They gave me a 3-year prognosis. So if I do the math, wow, I've got 12 months left. Well, how would you live life if you have 12 months left? I sure wouldn't worry. I sure wouldn't camp in the worry, the anxiety. I'm trying to mentor every kid I can. Two things that made this possible is my faith and Lifeonaire. My identity was my job and my kids, my wife, my family. And it leaned heavy on the identity of the job. Well, that's not who I am. That's kind of what Lifeonaire has brought to light, is that, my purpose is bigger than going out and trading time for money. My purpose is hopefully equipping and influencing the next generation to serve the Lord.
Well, along those lines, man, you said earlier that you had kind of set yourself in your life up in a way that you could focus on this solely, this fight, this challenge, whatever you want to term it. And so tell us what that looks like. How, because some people haven't done that, and they are, other parts of their life are still on fire, and now this happens, and so it's just and so how did you set yourself up? What did that look like?
The transition was, my motto and what started on my vision was work's overrated. Realizing that, tool, it's just simply a tool to live life. Mm-hmm. And when I switched from that, I ended up, the other thing is done is the new perfect. You can't run your business as an anal retentive perfectionist and depend on other people. And so as I learned, basically through my physical afflictions, that I had to depend on other people. I have to accept that I didn't get in the trenches on every aspect of every aspect of the job. And so I believe I became a master delegator, and really, my whole goal was to loosen up my time.
Did this all happen as a result of your shoulder stuff, or were there other, was this kind of forced upon you and you had to make this choice, or was this voluntary?
Well, probably 15 years ago, you would have seen me driving down the road in a dump truck overloaded with one arm in a cast, in a sling, shifting and driving because I thought I had to do this. This needs to be done. Whereas, I could have spent $50 and had it delivered. And, those little things, being able to pick up on, you don't need to kill yourself in order to make this successful. You need to use the intellectual knowledge between your ears. And when you're in the trenches, I don't think you see that. I don't think you see the answer that's right in front of your face as to how to do this more efficiently, so that you can buy your time. And so I obviously was a slow learner, or I don't believe the Lord would have put as many afflictions in my path. But I can tell you that I have peace where I'm at today. And I am grateful for all the afflictions and how it has prepared me to accept, deal with, and in my mind, flourish through this trial.
Man, so you've essentially, somewhat knowing and somewhat through faith and somewhat through affliction, ended up creating a business that didn't rely in the same capacity on you as it did previously. Therefore, without even knowing it, you've kind of set yourself up in a position so that when this hit, you were, I guess as ready as you can be. When that happens.
Right. Well, the big thing was, if I had to do anything physically over the last 2 years, it really wouldn't be beneficial. And, the transition to coaching, I can still talk. I'm not always as clear-headed. It's kind of like having the flu every other week doing chemo. But God has blessed me that I still feel like I'm adding value through the coaching, and I can do that without wearing myself out. It actually energizes me. Mm-hmm. It's the best thing since sliced bread.
And how many chemo sessions are you up to?
Next Monday will be my 50th.
50 sessions. And is this something that is expected to continue for an indefinite period of time?
Yes. And this is my
it's just your new normal. It's like this is your new normal.
Yep.
And you're moving forward despite that. And so what are some of the lessons that you like to share with people regarding what you've learned through these trials and through this challenge that you're going through right now? If you could give somebody like some really big nuggets, imagine that you had 5 minutes with someone and you wanted to share with them the most powerful things you've learned from what you've been going through, what would that be?
Well, I'm just grateful that you think I might have a nugget.
Well, it's a little nugget. It's like a little chicken.
Yeah.
I was surprised you asked that question, actually.
Thank you. What I think I've learned is that men especially have a tendency to live on an island and think that their problems are unique to them. Their situations are unique to them. The biggest takeaway I have had is don't do it alone. Life is not intended to be done alone, whether you're in tremendous health and everything's going well, or you're going through a trial. And exposing, basically yoking up with other guys is critical, and having conversations and being able to tell or say things that, are humbling, and you got to have somebody you can trust, obviously, but the biggest thing is, having people around you, to me, takes weight off my shoulders when I'm able to lean on them. And usually it can be something as simple as sending a text out saying, no need to reply, I just need to get off my chest, and so I'm not carrying that alone. And so, yeah, my response would be do life with accountability, more discipleship. You should have somebody that's pulling you in the front and somebody you're yanking from behind, somebody that's down your road. I've got cancer support groups I go to. I've got, people I haven't known, I didn't know, groups that I wasn't affiliated with. And those people, because when you've walked in their shoes, people can understand a little bit better. You guys, I could tell you all day, I could describe in detail what I'm going through, but I don't think you guys could, feel the brevity and the scope of it, until you've had that fluid pumped into your body. And your body responds immediately, saying, they know it's not right. It knows it's not right. Get this out of me. Here's all my side effects. Well, I'm probably not going to call Peter and talk to him about how rough this week is, but I've got cancer buddies that I'll call and be able to talk to that have walked in those shoes. And I think that's important. And I think guys especially should know that, as long as this earth has been around and people have been around, there's not any unique problems. People don't go through something new after 2,000 years. And accountability, relationships, yoking up. Yep.
I got a question for you. So you talked about being present, right? Do you have something? Because here's the thing. From my conversations with some people, and like, for instance, my ex-wife's boyfriend's dad just passed away from cancer, and he was diagnosed probably 4 months ago or so. And in that moment, when he found out about it, he's just, well, it's over, right? He just totally that's it, right? Quit, right? And I don't think you're that person. My question to you is there something that keeps pulling you, like in the future, like you have that why, you have a goal that you're going after, even though you're present, that gets you like, okay, there is no way this thing's going to kick my butt because I got to do this? Or are you just being present?
No, I've got to constantly remind myself of what I've got to live for. I do know a number of people that have received diagnosis and they just crumble. I mean, if I didn't have faith and accountability and a freaking awesome wife, I would probably have a helmet on, rolling in the corner, just banging my head with anxiety, overwhelming myself. But the shift is I'll be out watching the kids play basketball and I'll start drifting. My mind will start drifting off. Well, then I get up and go shoot one or what, I make sure that I disengage with going down the rabbit trail of a black hole.
Do you think, as you're talking, it just struck me, you're a guy of faith, right? And so there's got to be a part of you that would be, this is going to sound sick. There's a part of you that is probably excited to pass. I mean, if you're going to get to be with your creator, you're going to spend time, get to meet Jesus, and this is incredible stuff, right? Like, you just probably can't wait on some regards. But from an earthly perspective, do you think you're more concerned about what you would miss by not being here, or are you more concerned about what your loved ones would miss by you not being here? Do you know what I mean by that? Like, I'm wondering if it's an internal perspective of what you're going to miss or what they would miss about you not being here. Like, do you worry about them?
Well, yes.
Is that a strange, that's kind of a strange question, right?
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, I look at, Paul says, for me to die is gain, but for me to live is Christ. And what I take from that is, while I'm here, I'm living for Christ. And, is the question, I don't want my wife to spend her senior years alone. That hurts. I can't imagine doing life without her. And at the same time, I hope she can't imagine doing life without me. That is the toughest. The kids are going to leave and cleave. The kids are going to grow up and take, what we've taught them, make their families theirs. But the thing that is the most difficult is thinking about my wife, being alone. Now we've got 9 kids and 3 daughters-in-laws, and going to have grandbabies coming. It's always busy. It'll be a great distraction. I'm confident my kids will take care of mom, but nobody does it like I do.
Still some of that left in there, huh?
Oh yeah.
Well, man, I gotta tell you, this is inspirational, I think, to anyone who knows your story. Certainly, it gives people a lot to think about in regards to their own struggles and challenges, and what's insurmountable, what's not. When is it worth giving up? When is it worth fighting? How to kind of position yourself in a stance of maximum stability and chances of success, like you talked about. Yoking up, accountability, focusing on the present, and so many people aren't going to have the same level of challenges that you have right now, but I'll tell you, I think it also gives people a little kick in the butt, so that they're like, here's a guy who's doing this, who's still living an incredible life. And by the way, we didn't even mention this yet. How many kids do you have?
9.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. So yeah. So here you are. You've set your life up in a way that you can face this head on. You can still be the parent and the husband you want to be, the follower of Christ, and you're doing it all while you're dealing with this, man. It's inspirational. I'm proud to call you a friend, and I just want to thank you for being on the show, man.
Thank you. Can I make a parting statement?
Please.
If people often will talk to me and start to talk about something that's going on in their lives, and they'll default real quick to, but it's nothing compared to what you're going through. And that makes me sad, because whether you scraped your knee or you're dying of cancer, it's real to you. And I think that yoking up and that using accountability in whatever someone's dealing with, it's real to them. Don't discredit your trial because mine seems bigger. Make sure that you understand. I understand it's real to you. Talk to me about it. I want to hear about it. I want to help you if I can, but don't diminish the struggle that you're having just because mine might be bigger.
I think that's really encouraging, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Listen, I just want to say I'm so proud to know you, man. And that's it. I mean, you're an amazing human being, and it's a blessing that you came to my life and people that know you, actually, students and everybody. So
yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Same here, guys. Love being part of this. Love you guys. It's good stuff.
Man, wow, that's incredible. It's an incredible story, and what a struggle and challenge and journey that this guy's been on. Like, and he kind of alluded to this, but could you imagine getting that diagnosis? I mean, just picture this for a second, getting the diagnosis. You're going in and you get diagnosed with stage 4. It's not stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 colon cancer. Colon cancer, by the way, is one of the really nasty ones. And yet here he is, and he's talking about the lessons he's learned and how it, in some ways, it's kind of enriched his life in some regards.
Yeah. And I love that way he said it. It's a blessing, right? And he said it right off the bat, and you can sense it through his conversation as he was talking about how it's a blessing, how it's blessing him, how it's blessing his family, and how it's blessing the people around him that he's interacting. And he's had such a huge impact so far on not just on his own kids because of that, but so many other people around that he's, talked in Lifeonaire and all kinds of different places. So it is the perspective, the mindset plays such a huge role. And I'm so blessed to be able to hear this episode.
Well, man, speaking about blessings, he shared this. He spoke about lessons through this journey at our recent Lifeonaire Summit. Lifeonaire Summit is it's basically a 1.5 big teaching day. We have a bunch of different speakers come in and share different things, and he shared his story, and people were kind of crying. They're going up to him, they're hugging him, they're just like so inspired. And it forced, I think, a lot of people to really appreciate and look at what their lives look like. And here's this guy, who, and I know at the end he said, like, he doesn't want anybody to discount the challenges they're going through. And that's awesome and very, very, very powerful. But at the same time, how many of us have heard the phrase that says, like, I used to complain I had no shoes until I saw a man who had no feet. And so here's a guy who really is, despite all these challenges, he's still living life. He's still not letting this thing beat him. He's still not giving up. And he's present for his family. He's present for his wife and his kids. He realizes he's a model. He's taking on this challenge and facing it, head on.
Yeah, and I love the fact that I keep reiterating the whole thing about being present. I mean, when I coach students, this is a huge part of being happy in life, being successful, being whatever, being present. Because if you can look, what you don't have because you missed out on certain things, or you start looking at what you could have or what should have, could have, would have, right? That's not a good place to be in. And when you start being present in life, you start actually noticing how amazing the life can be. And I think that's probably what he's noticing by doing this, how blessed he is and all that kind of stuff. And it's such a cool lesson.
Man, it's awesome. The other thing I took from this was also that he had luckily, I don't want to use the word luckily, he'd been blessed to have set his life up in a way that he could focus all of his energies and resources on fighting this. So life was already, like, his business and stuff was already kind of running smoothly without him, due to some of his own volition and some due to the physical limitations that he had gone through with his shoulder and all that kind of stuff, and his shoulders. And so, like, this whole thing has kind of just directed him in this path so that he could focus on where he is today. And he's supposed to be where he is today. I mean, he really is. And it sounds weird, but he's embraced that. And I think it's a lesson for everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah, it reminded me of, during our 3-day Get a Life getaways that we do the exercise at one point where it's, you have 90 days to live. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? How are you going to live that life? Right. And when you start looking from that perspective, all of a sudden you start looking, okay, how do I need to shift my life to be able to get to that point? Because I have a feeling that if he didn't do that, right, before this whole thing, this journey right now during this, it could be very different, right, for him. And some people don't look at it and they get to that particular part when they find out something is not right or whatever. And now it's like, how do I do this? How do I be present and all that kind of stuff? And there's, like I mentioned, the person in my ex-wife's, life, 4 months in, he's gone, So, and I think that's partly because I don't think he was looking from a lot of it from what Charlie's talking about. So great lesson. I love the episode. Share it, people. Listen, I encourage you guys to share this episode because you have no idea if somebody is dealing with something and can definitely help them in some way, in major way.
Yep. Also, so Peter was talking about our 3-day Get a Life getaway. If you want to learn more about this event, go to lifeonaire.com. We do these events all over the country. We're going to resume these depending on when you're listening to this, sometimes in fall 2020, hopefully, once we get through all of the coronavirus stuff. Also, in the meantime, we do have other things that we offer virtually, go to lifeonair.com to learn that, or head over to the Lifeonaire app. This is an app we have, which is a free community, is a free discussion of Lifeonaire principles. Any and everything related to having a great life and business is discussed over there. We also have a free gift for you. It's our Lifeonaire Fast Start Kit, so you can start living like a Lifeonaire and learning the strategies, principles, and philosophies for yourself and incorporating those into your daily life. And lastly, as always, we would love to hear from you. Please leave us a review, drop us a note, and let us know what you like about the podcast and share it with your friends, because this helps us change lives as a whole. And the more people hear this, the better it is for all of us. Thanks again for tuning in. We can't wait to see you next week. Live free, everyone. Take care.